In the UPSC IAS syllabus, specifically under GS Paper 1 Society and GS Paper 3 Indian Economy Development, the topic of women and women's organizations is structurally linked to poverty and developmental issues. To answer this effectively in an exam context, you need to look at this from a twin perspective: how poverty uniquely impacts women, the feminization of poverty, and how women and their collectives act as instruments of poverty alleviation. 1. The core issue: feminization of poverty in India. Before analyzing their role in solving it, you must highlight why poverty is a gendered issue in India. Women suffer disproportionately from poverty due to systemic barriers. The double burden: women engage heavily in unpaid care work, cooking, cleaning, childcare, which limits their time for paid formal employment. Asset ownership gap: despite legislative reforms, less than 15% of agricultural land in India is owned by women. Without land titles, they cannot access formal bank credit. Labor force stagnation: India's female labor force participation rate, FLFPR, has historically been low and highly concentrated in the informal, unregulated sector, like domestic work or casual labor, with low wages and no social security. The poverty nutrition cycle: poor households often prioritize males for nutrition and education. This leads to high rates of maternal anemia, which perpetuates a intergenerational cycle of poverty, stunted/wasted children. 2. Role of women in alleviating poverty. When women earn, the developmental outcomes of a household change radically. Studies consistently show that women invest up to 90% of their income back into their families, nutrition, healthcare, and education, directly breaking the poverty cycle. Agricultural backbones: through the feminization of agriculture, as men migrate to cities for work, women have become the primary managers of rural farms, securing food supply for poor households. Micro-entrepreneurs: given small amounts of capital, women frequently start localized businesses, livestock, tailoring, retail, that provide a steady cushion against agricultural shocks. Guardians of health and education: as frontline workers, ASHAs, Anganwadi workers, women are the execution engine of India's health and nutrition schemes, preventing poor families from falling into catastrophic health-induced debt. 3. Role of women's organizations. The structural catalysts: individual agency is limited, but collectivization has been India's most successful weapon against poverty. Women's organizations attack poverty through economic empowerment, social solidarity, and political leverage. Self-help groups, SHGs, and the Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, DAY NRLM. The SHG movement is the most potent institutional mechanism for poverty alleviation in rural India. Financial inclusion: SHGs pool small savings and provide low-interest loans, bypassing predatory local moneylenders. Social capital: beyond money, SHGs act as forums to discuss social issues like child marriage, domestic violence, and sanitation, all of which are deeply intertwined with poverty. Landmark institutional examples: when writing IAS answers, citing case studies is non-negotiable for high marks. Organization, structural strategy, impact on poverty. SEWA, Self-Employed Women's Association, organizes informal workers, street vendors, rag pickers, into trade unions and cooperatives. Provided identity, legal protection, banking, Siwa Bank, and social security to millions of poor, unorganized women. Kudumbashri, Kerala, a neighborhood group, NHG network, integrated with local panchayats, transformed women from welfare recipients into active developmental agents via community farming, micro-enterprises, and cleanup drives. Lijat Papad, Mahila Griha Udyog, a decentralized cooperative business model owned entirely by women, proved that low-skilled rural women could achieve financial independence and middle-class stability through a scalable manufacturing model. 4. Government interventions amplifying this role. To score well, connect the organizations to current institutional frameworks. NRLM, National Rural Livelihoods Mission, aims to cover 7 to 8 crore rural poor households into SHGs. PM Mudra Yojana in Stand Up India, providing collateral-free institutional credit to women entrepreneurs to move them up the value chain. Mahila Kisan Sashaktikaran Pariyojana, MKSP, a subcomponent of NRLM specifically aimed at improving the skill and tech adoption of women farmers. Way forward for in mains answer: To conclude an essay or GS paper answer, emphasize that women are not just victims of poverty, but the most effective solution to it. Future policy must move from women-led development to women-driven economic agency by securing their land rights, digitizing SHGs, and bridging the gender wage gap.